Welcome to Mississippi State Live here on the Voice of College Football Network. I'm your co-host, Andrew Miller, joined by my fellow co-host, Christian Ballard, back for a call-in show. It's been a busy week for me doing a bunch of stuff with now third time doing a show this week because we did the show on the channel with Tucker Harlan breaking down Mississippi State versus Tennessee. If you missed that, go check it out. It was a really fun discussion, getting to know the Vols, getting a look at the matchup. Obviously, we did our show Monday, which was our first look at this game, and now for the call-in show. So definitely a lot of fun stuff on the channel right now for you guys to check out ahead of what is a huge matchup this weekend in Starkville between Mississippi State and the Tennessee Volunteers. If you are just now checking us out for the first time, if you could, be sure to leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, turn that notification bell on so you do know when we do go live. And if you could, share the stream, share the channel, help us out, keep this thing growing. We're getting up close to 100 subscribers. We're nearing in on that total. We definitely would love to hit that with very soon. It'd be really, really cool for the channel to get to that point. So if you definitely could, we'd appreciate all the support. I don't know if we have anybody in the stream here just yet, but I'll go ahead and say it off the jump, and I'll repeat it more as people join in. This is our call-in show. This is your opportunity if you want to be a part of the action and give us your thoughts on Mississippi State, whether it be the season as a whole, your thoughts on this particular matchup with Tennessee, what you're thinking going into the game. This is your opportunity to be a part of it. So you'll notice we do have the link to the stream. It is both pinned to the top of the live chat. It is also in the description to the video. Just click that link. Keep your camera turned off, but then we'll be able to bring you in and let you be a part of the action, give your thoughts on, again, Mississippi State football, college football. If you just want to talk college football, we're down for that, whatever. But also, specifically, if we can get a look into MSU, Tennessee, that's what we're going to do tonight. Christian, how's it going?
Sure. It's going great, man. I got the for anyone that does care, I'll watch anything football because I just love the action of a pigskin going through the air, the hard-hitting nose tackles. So I got this Army and East Carolina game on. East Carolina's up 14-0 here over Army, which I got a lot of love and respect for those who serve our country. Thank you. Shout out to the service academies. And I don't know. I hope Army can find a way to win this game. I think it'd be pretty interesting.
I've got the game up as well. Fun game in the American. I was about to say American Athletic Conference. This is no longer the American Athletic Conference.
It's just the American.
Yeah, it's
America.
Great branding name change. But yeah, no, I do enjoy these games on Thursday night, but I think as we talked about a couple weeks ago, there's not going to be another power conference game. I think like week 1, week 2 were the only weeks we had power conference college football playing on a Thursday night. Now it's sort of more Friday night, which there's some good games tomorrow night. Actually, in our picks for the week, we have a Friday night game included in that. We'll make our picks for TCU versus Arizona State, which is a really fun Big 12 game. Yeah, enjoying the college football. I'm going to be enjoying a really fun weekend. I'm going to be making the trip up to Starkville. I have not been to a football game at State since 2021. I went to Mississippi State versus NC State. Second game of the season in Mike Leach's second season. The Bulldogs got a 24-10 win in that game. It was a really fun night in Starkville. This should be an even more fun, crazy atmosphere. Had a friend hook me up with a ticket. Shout out to him. So I'm making the trip up. Going to watch State take on the Vols. Should be an insane environment inside Davis Wade Stadium. I'm looking forward to getting back into town for a game day. Because like I said, it's been 4 years since I've done it for football. I went to a basketball game a couple of years ago, so it hasn't been as long for hoops. But for football, it's been quite a while. So excited to get back up and looking forward to the weekend in Stark Vegas. We'll talk about that game a little bit throughout the show. And again, this is our call-in show. So if you want to be a part of the action, click that link in the description or pinned to the top of the chat. And that'll give you the opportunity to join in and give your thoughts either on this game, Mississippi State season as a whole, or college football as a whole. We want to talk a little bit about this game. And this shouldn't be the starting point, but I think it has to be the starting point because it's sort of just been the fun topic of discussion on social media over these last few days. They say the only prescription is more cowbell, but Mississippi State is specifically asking for less when the Bulldogs take on Tennessee this weekend here in Starkville. State put out a video talking about the cowbell tradition, but specifically asking fans to adhere to the ring responsibly policy for those unfamiliar. Uh, in short, you can ring your bell at any time during the game, but once the center gets over the football, you have to stop. And I think officially it's supposed to be through the play. I know everybody, as soon as the ball gets snapped, they start ringing the bell. We haven't had any issues with that. But this is coming up because State very much did not ring responsibly a couple weeks ago when Arizona State was in town. That was, as crazy as an atmosphere as you will see for a college football game, that Mississippi State game that night in Starkville. And State fans were not interested in, ringing responsibly whatsoever in that game. That was a night where it was all about, we are about to make this place a madhouse and make it the craziest environment we can possibly make to will our football team to a win over Arizona State. And that's precisely what they did. And I don't fault anyone at all for that, creating that atmosphere in that night. That's the way it was supposed to be in Starkville. And I don't think the SEC cared that Mississippi State went a little overboard with bells against Arizona State because, one, it's not a conference game, and I don't think the SEC really cares that much about. I don't think the policy really applies to non-conference games. But two, the other part of it is because it's a non-conference game, Mississippi State winning that game is a good thing for the SEC. Hey, you get a win over the defending Big 12 champs. That is something that's going to carry. That's something that has potential playoff implications. If we get to the end of the year and Arizona State ends up being a team that's trying to make an argument for being an at-large contender, or if they're a Big 12 champion or whatever, if you're the SEC, you're able to sit here and say, well, one of our teams beat that team.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good thing for the SEC. So I don't think the SEC cared about State ringing the bells the way they did. I think some of the other teams in the league, though, were a little bit bothered by it, specifically those that are going to be on State's upcoming schedule, maybe the immediate upcoming schedule. I won't point any fingers directly to who or may or may not have voiced their concerns, but it is very clear someone got in the, oh my goodness, that drop from Army. That is just brutal.
Like, I saw that too. I was not going to cut you off there, though.
That is
That was
rough.
so
I'll
bad.
cut myself off. That's rough, man. As we're watching Army versus Carolina.
Yeah.
It is very clear that someone got to the league offices and said, hey, y'all going to do anything about this? Because we don't want to put up with that. And very, very obvious that the SEC officials have spoken to Mississippi State and sort of stressed the importance of making sure you are following the policy the way it is meant to be followed when it comes to ringing responsibly. State went as far as to say that our tradition depends on it in the video, that in the post that they put out. I have a lot of thoughts, but I've been going here for a bit. And Christian, I know you have an outside perspective because you're an Alabama guy, but I don't care. You can see, if you have your thoughts on the cowbells, you can get into that. But I mean, just what is your? I don't even know what I'm asking you, to be completely honest. I'm just trying to
just my thoughts. Just my thoughts.
Your
really.
thoughts on the overall situation.
I've
Cowbells,
watched quite a
whatever.
bit of. Yeah, I've watched a lot of different SEC games growing up. I've watched Alabama, of course, more than anybody else, but more than any other team. But I'll say this: don't screw with the tradition of college football. I mean, you just don't, man. I mean, that's part of the fun. The fans love it. The students love it at Mississippi State. Um, I mean, that's taking away the cowbell is like I'm trying to think of another big without going to Alabama here, but well, let's just go like that's like when they took away Dixieland Delight from Bryant Denny because of what we were doing with the words, um, throwing some expletives around and all that, in the third between the third and fourth quarters. They were pretty upset when they took that away, and I know they're not necessarily taking away the cowbell, but they're limiting it, and it's I don't know. It's just a tradition, man. I
Well,
don't think
I
you
will
should
say
screw with tradition.
they're not necessarily limiting it. It's more they're asking State to follow the policy that's in place.
Mhm.
there is a limit to what you can do, but they are asking state to kind of go with what they've agreed to here.
Right.
Here's what I'll say, and you're right about don't screw with tradition. The policy that exists currently, I do think is fair. Um, I understand why it is in place the way it is. Frankly, the fact that state is even allowed to have cowbells is a blessing in and of itself. For a long time, they were not allowed to. They were banned from 1974 through 2000. It was 2010 was the first season they were allowed back. So it was 36 years that Mississippi State was not able to have cowbells in Davis-Wade Stadium. Now, there were plenty of cowbells in Davis-Wade Stadium throughout all of those seasons. It's not like people weren't finding ways to get them into the stadium, but officially they weren't supposed to have them. And it was not the same way it is now, where just about every state fan that walks into Davis-Wade is going to be yielding a cowbell, if not two. So it's a tradition that went away for a long time, that state was very lucky to be able to get back in any capacity previously. Originally there were some pretty strict rules over when they were able to use it. That was very limiting. They basically were not able to be much a part of the game at all, whereas now they still can. State is lucky though, because it's a noisemaker. It is. I don't have any issue sitting here and saying it's not like I'm oblivious to why there is an advantage to having a cowbell. I'm not going to try to pull that and pretend I don't know. But it's Mississippi State's tradition, and like you said, traditions are a part of college football. This is the fabric of Mississippi State University. You want to be able to keep it going as long as possible. And because of that, I agree with the policy that is in place. I totally get why once the center gets over the ball and the quarterback is trying to get the snap, why you're not supposed to be ringing, why that would be an unfair advantage relative to the rest of the conference. I understand all that. I don't have any complaints with that whatsoever. And I will ask that those who are in attendance this weekend, and that goes for myself as well, hey, ring responsibly. It's very clear that there's been some a warning put out here. Let's just be honest, a warning from the SEC of hey, if you guys mess around and this could be an issue. We don't want to lose the tradition. Mississippi State's the last school that needs to try and push their luck with the SEC. We don't have that type of play within the conference to try and bend the rules more than we should. And I'm not saying bow down, but I am saying understand what has been granted and try to adhere to that, because we want to keep the cowbells going for all of eternity. We don't want to ever lose that.
Right.
So I will say.
I mean, I would agree. I mean, like you said, ring it at your own risk and responsibly. If they're not taking it away, but you don't want to get to a situation where they have to, basically. And it'll be oh, I see you back there, Jackson. Let's get this guy on. But I would say it would be taking away the cowbell is like ripping the heart and soul out of Mississippi State. If you get
and look, as we said, it's not being taken away. And I do have a few more thoughts, but we'll get Jackson in here first.
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
Oh, what's up, gents? How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, for those that don't know, this guy covers Alabama over here, and he promotes and pumps us out all the time. We appreciate you. We love you, man. What you got tonight?
Oh, man, I wanted to talk a little bit about Mississippi State, Alabama now being, going back to being an annual matchup.
Heck yeah, I'm excited. Yeah.
I know, right? Because it's I know it's a minority opinion for the Crimson Tide, but I honestly feel like there's a little more history with Mississippi State than there is LSU. I mean, despite the fact Alabama has dominated Mississippi State throughout its history, but the fact is there's more history with that game than there is with Alabama LSU. You name
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's you name one game in the 20th century for Alabama LSU. Nobody can do that. I mean, there's 1979. There's that tie from 1985, but that's it. That's all anybody could think of for Alabama LSU. Because I mean, there's the Nick Saban era. I feel like Alabama LSU is going the way of Florida Tennessee, where everybody talked about it all day long throughout the 1990s. But as time grew on, nobody really cared about Florida Tennessee as much. I think Alabama LSU is going that route, in my opinion. But Alabama Mississippi
I'll
State,
say, yeah. I will say this. I think they went that route because, didn't LSU end up getting Oklahoma? What's their beef with them? Like,
no,
what's going?
Ole
No, who
Miss
did they?
got Oklahoma, LSU got Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M, which I believe Arkansas
Yeah,
will go back to being on rivalry week
Which
next.
it should.
yeah. It
Yeah,
should. The Battle
I
of the
like
Boot
that
there.
game.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. So, okay, comparing Alabama and Mississippi State to Alabama and LSU. They first met in 1896.
yep.
LSU Alabama goes back to 1895. Which one's older? By year, it's Alabama LSU.
Mm-hmm.
By how many times they've met, Alabama Mississippi State have met 108 times, whereas Alabama LSU only 89, and it's hard to believe it's actually that low, but it is.
Right.
So technically speaking, the oldest one between the two is the Mississippi State rivalry with Alabama.
Yeah.
Um, I'm happy that it's coming back. I hate that it had to play out the way it did, but it also had to, like, obviously that was going to be the game they were going to get rid of. They were not going to screw us and get rid of Tennessee. They weren't going to cut the Iron Bowl.
No.
By all means, never do that again. Because remember, they did that. They had to suspend it for 30 years in the early 1900s. But
Oh yeah,
no,
where
man,
they suspended the
they
Iron Bowl.
had like in like the 1910s, it was like they were fighting on the field and they didn't bring it back
Yep.
till like 1945 or something like that. So
1948, December 1st,
yeah,
1940. Yeah, they had some films in color and some films in black and white for that one.
right,
Man,
right.
this
But
year's gonna
I
be the
get what you're
77th anniversary of the return of the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I get what you're saying though. I mean, so like we're as Bama fans, it's like you're gonna miss the LSU game and you hope that you see that opponent every couple years and it's still gonna be a big game when it does roll around. But to bring back Mississippi State, because I'm gonna be honest, when they took away Mississippi State and Ole Miss and they removed the Mississippi schools, like forget LSU, man. I was actually devastated. I love playing those teams every single year. Now, I hate that it's only one of them right now, but it is what it is.
Oh yeah.
What do you think, Andrew?
It's great to hear the perspective of the side that wins the game every time. No, look, I'll say this. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I missed playing Alabama when it went away for a couple of games. I understand the history of it all, and I actually do appreciate that. I actually said this to somebody today on Twitter. I would rather just as a whole, let's go back to like pre-2012 conferences, and I will take the SEC West because look, as much as some of those games may not have gone Mississippi State's way, like there is something to be said about like these are the teams on your schedule every single year, and like having Alabama, having Auburn, LSU, Arkansas, Ole Miss is just like, hey, those are the teams we're going to play every single season. And I know A&M obviously became a part of that as well, but I did kind of like that. There is the unity that you have with the rivalries and just that being a part of your schedule every single year. It feels like what college football is supposed to feel like. So from that standpoint, I don't really have an issue with the Bama series coming back. I also have less of an issue with it because they gave us Vanderbilt, so I'm not going to – that's kind of a fair trade-off when it's also I understand Vandy, looks better right now. It's funny because I think a lot of state fans assumed we'd get Kentucky.
That's what I thought too, honestly.
I thought
it was a crossover game, and we played Kentucky like every year for like 35 years. And honestly, like that series was a good competitive series for a long time there. By the end of it, I will tell you, there was a moment there for a few years where State and Kentucky actually did become a rivalry. Like those fan bases started to hate each other in football quite a bit. Which you just wouldn't have expected for a long time. So I thought that would have made a lot of sense. And it is kind of funny looking at the future of college football. Maybe you make an argument Kentucky finds itself going back towards the bottom of the conference with I don't think they're going to have another Mark Stoops, and
No.
it's very much feels like whoever gets the next job there is not going to be put in the same position, because I think Kentucky's about to go all back in on basketball once again.
Oh,
So
yeah.
maybe you're looking at a situation where Vanderbilt goes beyond Kentucky, in which case, that's not as beneficial for MSU. All-time history suggests that you want Vanderbilt. So it does balance out. And I think it's a fair draw for State. Playing the Tide, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it is I'm not going to pretend that's a series that anyone gets truly fired up for. There are a few State fans who do enjoy it, just from the fact of like, hey, we've always played this team, like you guys talked about, and that's just a part of it. But when there's the aspect of going into the game knowing, well, we kind of know how this is going to go, like that part of it's not quite as fun. But I can at least appreciate the history of it all and getting it back on the schedule. It's not. I'm not celebrating it personally, but I also can see like, okay, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said too, I was devastated when they kept Alabama, LSU, they kept Tennessee, they kept Auburn. Don't mess with those. I hate that they're not keeping all three of them now, but it does bring me some joy to have back a team like Mississippi State, because even like I said with Ole Miss, Alabama, I mean, they found a way to get a couple upsets here or there, and give us some good games. So playing the Mississippi schools, man, regardless of their record or I mean, it's always fun, especially from an Alabama standpoint.
Oh, great. Like, because I was like, y'all could do what you want with LSU as long as Auburn and Tennessee weren't touched. As long as we kept
Yeah.
Auburn and Tennessee, that's what really mattered right there.
As those
But
are our, like, I mean, traditional rivalries, especially Auburn, but even Tennessee with the victory cigar
we
tradition
played
and
them since
going
the
back.
Great Depression.
Oh yeah, I mean, you talk about the Bear Bryant and General Neyland days and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Oh, man.
Speaking of Tennessee,
Ooh,
Jackson,
Tennessee.
do you have thoughts on this week's Mississippi State Tennessee game?
Reluctantly, I've picked Tennessee in that one, but I will say if Mississippi State upsets Tennessee, here's my question.
Okay.
Does this make Mississippi State the new Indiana, or get them on track to be the new Indiana? The reason why I say that is because Mississippi
I don't know
State
about
had
a
a
playoff run,
god-awful, like
but
Mississippi
I
State.
think
Yeah, because like Mississippi State had a god-awful, terrible season last year, and now they're unbeaten. And if they beat Tennessee, does it get them in the playoff race or get on the verge of it?
You
I don't
put
know about
yourself in an
that.
early conversation. I mean, sure, like if you win this game, then theoretically you open the door for even more wins the rest of the way. Realistically, I think it goes from, okay, I think if you get a win in this game, you go from talking about, can we find a couple wins, go to a bowl game, to, hey, this could be like an 8-win team, which would be insane for Jeff Lebby in year 2 with where the program is just at, and also with what the schedule is. Because that's where I do look at it and say, even if they get this win, it's kind of hard to start talking about, can you make an Indiana type run? The schedule is still a gauntlet the rest of the way. And obviously, I think it's very clear, like the Arizona State game that State got, home field advantage was such a huge part of that. And I think if they beat Tennessee, home field advantage is going to have to be a huge part of it. You do have to go on the road too. So, you're going to have some of those games you're going to get eventually that are, State's got to go. I know they look awful, but State does have to go to the Swamp. And Florida's defense is good. Their offense is a train wreck, and I don't know if Billy Napier's the coach at that time. I don't know if DJ Lagway has decided to redshirt at that point. But going to the Swamp is never easy. Going to Fayetteville, and I know that Arkansas team does not look very good right now. Their offense puts up points. There is that. So and they got to go to College Station next week. They'll have a road trip to Mizzou, and Mizzou looks freaking awesome right now with the way they're playing. So it's going to be an incredibly difficult schedule, even if they get the win. But you do at least you give yourself a chance to think, okay, well, what if we can win just enough games? Can you find a way to go to 9-3? And if you go 9-3 against this schedule, then you probably are in. If we're being completely honest with as tough as the schedule is, so you would open the door. But realistically, I think you're talking more like, okay, let's see if we can make 8-4 happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because like imagine if Mississippi State was to go 9-3, and Arizona State goes back to the Big 12 and repeats as Big 12 champions. That's basically a humongous win for Mississippi State right there. Like, could that help them get into the playoffs with that record? We definitely wait and see for that.
I will say, real quick, like this is, and I think I've said this when I was doing the show on my own, and maybe we've talked about it, Andrew, but like, is this not the year like for 2025? Like, it's a big building block to like it's obviously it's not like a going into it you're on the hot seat or you're not with Jeff Levy, but it was definitely that punch in the face to say we're better than 2-10. We have momentum, but it sets you up for next year in 2026. Let's say if we finish 7-5, 8-4, that'd be huge. And quite honestly, it wouldn't surprise me with the way they're playing right now. But you can build off that in 2026, go 9-3, 10-2, and maybe your goal is the playoffs or not, whatever. But it's that continued success. Now it's not something that's just going to happen. They got to work towards it every year, but this is that moment for them. I mean, if they get this Tennessee win, obviously we got to see them the rest of the way, and the players and Jeff Levy are going to celebrate for 24 hours, I'm sure. But
Oh, yeah.
it's one of those things like this is a building block for the future of Mississippi State. It's more than just, hey, let's see how we can do better than 2-10. I really think with what you've done against Arizona State and company so far, it's really showing what he's made of.
Oh man.
Yeah, look, if you have a good season, I think even going to a bowl game, right? If you can find a couple wins in conference play, that is a huge step forward for the program, and then it can be a launching point. That's
right.
Going back to that Arizona State game. That's what made that game so pivotal. Is it was not just a thing about, hey, this is a chance to get a big win early in the season for some momentum for this year. Getting that win created the opportunity to have momentum for the program as a whole. Because by setting the table to have a successful 2025 season, you now open the doors for 2026 and beyond to be bigger. And yeah, getting a win there really sets you up. If you get a win here, you're really cooking. And you're talking about even bigger things, and it's going to be tough. We'll talk more on that game here in a bit in the show, but just as a general rule, getting to a bowl game or anything beyond that, which would just be gravy on top, that is a massive step forward. There's going to be a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz. I think it's going to help recruiting tremendously. That is something I know I talked about right after I started. We sort of started talking about states where they were from a recruiting standpoint. And there's been a few players in the class that have gotten bumped up to 4 stars. That's great. But a lot of the players in the class are just not the type of players that Mississippi State needs to be recruiting, just being blunt. They've taken some commitments of guys that are not necessarily high-profile players because they've had to, because they're not getting in the door with the type of prospects you have to have if you're going to – I'm not talking about compete for the SEC title. I just mean compete to the standpoint of, hey, we can win a few games and have some solid seasons. In order to get in the game with those recruits, you have to give them a product that they want to be a part of. And you have to show them, like, hey, Mississippi State's like not just going to be a pushover. This is not going to be a dumpster fire moving forward. You got to be able to win some football games. You can come here and win football games. You can come here and be a part of an awesome atmosphere on Saturdays. And, there's the NIL side of it too. But as I've said many times, NIL right now is not the issue for Mississippi State that I think people would assume it is outside the fan base. They have enough money that, in theory, they could compete with what a lot of these other schools are offering. It's that those other schools have been on a much, much better trajectory as programs. So when you say, hey, if the money's equal, well, why would you go to Mississippi State when you got a place that's going to give you the same money, but you're probably going to win more games? So now you're able to show them proof of concept and say, look what we're doing here. And like, we're laying a foundation. This is just the beginning. You get to come be a part of it. This is a huge season for Jeff Levy to really set things up going forward. And this is another opportunity this weekend to really make a statement that this program is going to be competitive moving forward. And I'm hoping that we get a good showing on Saturday.
Oh, man.
Sure.
I think that game will be closer than the experts have it. Like, as much as I hate having to pit Tennessee on that one, You know I am going to be pulling for those Mississippi State Bulldogs. I will be pulling for the
Yeah.
Bulldogs when I get a chance to watch them before Bama gets started. Like, I'll be flipping between that game, watching a little bit of LSU, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Auburn, watching Iowa, Indiana on that laptop that I've got right next to me. So it's like I'm prepared. And
Is
watch a
that
little
one
bit
of the
Ohio
games
State,
this week?
Washington. Huh?
Indiana play. Where's that? Is that at Kinnick Stadium this week?
Yep.
Mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That. Oh.
I mean,
Ooh,
I
that'll be
did
good.
dislike it being on the Peacock app, but I'm like, you know what? At least they're not putting UCLA Northwestern on there. That like UCLA Northwestern should not be on television. It should be on Big Ten Network because you're ripping off your customers with that. That game should be on
Yeah.
Nick Jr. so that the parents can put their kids to sleep with that game.
If you watch
Oh, that's
Northwestern
good.
versus UCLA, you're getting put on a list.
Yeah. I
Well,
don't
I
even
won't
know.
watch
And
that
I
game.
get desperate. Here's the thing. I get desperate. I'll watch any game. I don't even know if I could turn that one on. I get too desperate, but I'm not flipping to that one.
It'll make you get sick.
Right.
But I will say
sure.
though, for a head on off for tonight, get ready for the Alabama Crimson Tide Live College Show. Tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Post about the magic that Christian Ballard and Andrew Miller bring. All right here on Mississippi State at the Voice of College Football, Monday nights and Thursday nights, including
Yes,
the
sir.
college show Thursday nights. All right here on Mississippi State at the Voice of College Football. Let's get these gentlemen over to 1,000 subs.
Let's
love
do it.
Thanks for the shout out there. We really appreciate it. Thanks for joining in, Jackson. Fun
Thank you, buddy.
conversation there. And yeah, y'all go check him out on the Alabama channel. Like, let's support all the channels here on the network. A lot of great SEC talk. I mean, look, if Mississippi State beats Tennessee, are you not going to want to hear the Alabama fans laughing at Tennessee losing that game? But it's a perfect opportunity to go and check out.
I'll be watching Alabama, Georgia, but I'll be coming in the chat on the Mississippi State channel, having some laughs at Tennessee for a bit.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks for having me on, gents.
All right. Great call there with
Jackson. Glad to have him be a part of things for there. Just a second. I won't take time going back to cowbells. Look, I did have a final point I wanted to make, though. Like, as much as it's great, and it's so weird to go back to. So the cowbell thing, I agree with the rules in place. I hope State fans follow the rules this week, and you don't want to lose the tradition. The rule is fair. Let's adhere to it. We all know this is only coming up because Mississippi State does not look like a pushover. This is only happening because teams now recognize that if Mississippi State – if you let Mississippi State be in the game and if you let the crowd make a factor, Mississippi State can beat you. That was not going to happen last year. And if Mississippi State looked like the team that they looked like last season, there's no chance we're getting all these complaints about cowbells. There's no chance we're hearing all these concerns and issues with the team moving forward. But they realize Mississippi State can beat them, so they're whining and complaining. And it is very funny. Like, I get it. People are always talking about, oh, cowbells are annoying. Why would I ever want to go to a game there? Fine. You normally leave it at that. The second Mississippi State starts winning football games, it's like cowbells are such BS. It's such crap that they get to cheat like that. Arizona State fans did it big time. Like, going into the game, they were just like, oh, this is such a dorky tradition, whatever. And then they lose, and they spend the next week crying on Twitter about cowbells. And now Tennessee fans are currently crying on Twitter about cowbells, which also Vols fans. Let's be very clear here. You are not the first fan base to come up with, well, what if we brought our own cowbells to Davis Wade Stadium? It's been done. Literally, that was a thing on College Game Day. When Mississippi State was on game day and hosting in 2014 against Auburn, Kirk Herbstreit, well, they did a segment on it. They talked about Auburn fans made Auburn cowbells to bring to the game and ring them, which, by the way, made zero difference in that game whatsoever as Dak Prescott and the Bulldogs whooped that butt in that game. But
they sound no different than the Mississippi State ones, basically.
Well,
like, why did you? The idea was
like we'll bring them when Mississippi State's on offense, and I will say the Auburn brought a lot of fans to that game, and there were you could hear Auburn fans making noise when State was on offense in that game in 2014. You didn't hear cowbells, Like Kirk Herbstreit picked Auburn. I remember Herbie picked Auburn to win the game, and he picked up the Auburn cowbell and rung it a little bit. Like, I think we're going to be hearing the Auburn cowbells more in this game, which no, you weren't, because, again, State beat the crap out of them. But it's been done. So I know Tennessee fans are doing this whole thing. We're just going to bring our own cowbells. Knock yourself out. It's not going to make a difference. And that's not me saying it's not going to make a difference because State's going to win the game regardless. We'll get into the matchup here. This is going to be a difficult game for Mississippi State. I'm not getting around that. I'm telling you, Tennessee fans can do whatever they want from a cowbell standpoint. That's not going to play any bearing on this game whatsoever. You know, Jackson brought up something that I realized I wanted to talk about in this show, but I just didn't even think to plan on it. We do know Mississippi State's future schedule. Because the SEC have announced their opponent. So let's take a look at that real quick. And I'm going to pull it up on Twitter. So give me just a second here to get it up.
For 2026.
I have they have all 4 years.
Because they go to like 2028 or 2029.
Out to 2029. And where? I got to scroll. Here it is. Okay. So, Mississippi State's opponents for the next 4 years revealed. As we do know, State's permanent opponents, as we were just alluding to, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, and Alabama. Those are the games they're going to be playing each year within the SEC, at least over the next 4 seasons. Then you will rotate between the rest of the conference over a 2-year period, and will rotate through playing everywhere home and away over a 4-year period, 9-game conference schedule moving forward. In 2026, the Bulldogs will get 5 SEC home games, those being Alabama, Auburn, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt. They will travel to LSU, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Texas. 2027, 4 home games. They will host Arkansas, Florida, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. They will travel to Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Vandy. 2028, back to 5 home games, hosting Alabama, LSU, South Carolina, Texas, and Vanderbilt, while traveling to Auburn, Missouri, Oklahoma, Ole Miss. And then finally, 2029, as far out as this currently goes, they will host Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, while traveling to Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. So, my general thoughts on this. One, in terms of how the schedule shook out for State, I think overall pretty balanced year by year. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering here for a second. I'm trying to remember what I was saying. I would say the odd years are probably a little bit better from a matchup standpoint, which is interesting. The odd years of the seasons, you only get 4 home games. But I think the odd years are a little bit better from a matchup standpoint because you get 2 guaranteed games against teams that are sort of in that bottom 5 of the SEC, or really bottom 3 between Vanderbilt and Kentucky. Where oh wait a minute, no, you get Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and what is the other one? Arkansas. Yeah. Sorry, you get basically three of the bottom 5 programs in the SEC. I know we've gone off the rails here, and I'm stuttering because I didn't plan for this. So that's my apologies. In the odd years, you're going to get 3 games against teams that are consensus bottom 5 teams in the SEC between Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and Kentucky. In the even years, you only get 2 between Arkansas and South Carolina as surefire bottom 5. And I understand South Carolina right now, they feel like they've got things going under Beamer. There's a chance that team doesn't go to a bowl game this year. South Carolina is not a program where they're just suddenly about to take off and continue building moving forward. So even though you only get the 4 home games in the odd years, I think it's a little bit more favorable for you because you get a couple more games on the schedule you feel like you have a good chance against. But I still don't think any given year they're in a terrible spot. I think they kind of balanced out the number of big-time games you're playing. I don't see one year where you have a true top-end team or more true top-tier teams than you would than the others. I think the schedule balanced out pretty well. And it's going to be difficult every single year, but I think it's worked out pretty well for State. I would say the year that stands out to me as the most intriguing is 2027. And that's when I saw a few State fans saying, oh, man, that's really tough because you only get 4 home games, and you have to go to Tuscaloosa, Athens, and Knoxville. So Only 4 home games, and you have 3 pretty brutal road games in that stretch.
Mhm.
However, this is where I think the schedule could be pretty favorable. Your home games that year are Arkansas, Florida, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. All of those are games where home field advantage can play a big role. And I note that because, at least in the case of Alabama, Georgia, I won't put Tennessee there just yet, but we'll see where Tennessee is in the future. With Bama and Georgia, I don't think home field is going to make that big of a difference most years. Those are teams that typically home versus away, you're going to be at a pretty big disadvantage. Whereas Arkansas, Florida, the Egg Bowl, and then Texas A&M, those are games where playing in Starkville tends to matter quite a bit, and getting those games at home help out. You also get road games at Vanderbilt and at Kentucky. If there's 2 stadiums in the SEC where you're like, I will gladly go play that game on the road, it's Vanderbilt and Kentucky. So you're getting 2 very winnable road games and then 4 home games where you're going to have a fair shot in. That is an SEC schedule I think you have a chance to take advantage of. Even with 4 home games, even with a tough road slate with those top 3, I think you could have some success there. So, that's the season that stands out to me. And again, we're all projecting. We don't know what these teams are going to look like. We don't know who the coaches are going to be, the players, all that. This is just purely projection. But I think this worked out pretty well for State, and I don't see any one year where you have to have major complaints about the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about going into, I mean, starting next year. So, like I said, I'm an Alabama fan. I'm happy that game's coming back. I think State fans ought to be fired up about it. Advantage for Mississippi State is you get that game at home next year. Like I look, let's just focus in on 2026 because obviously there's going to be a lot of interesting changes within maybe coaching, maybe players for some of these programs, recruiting, portal, all that stuff. I look at next year for Mississippi State, and you honestly get your tough ones at home outside of, well, I'd say it's about 50-50. I don't know. You get Auburn, Alabama at home, Missouri at home, Oklahoma, and Vandy. That should be outside of maybe what Auburn, Alabama look like. I don't know how Oklahoma's going to do either, but you should be able to manage those. You look at the road games, LSU, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Texas. Those are dangerous places to go, especially with LSU, Ole Miss being a rivalry, and Texas. South Carolina, I think, would be at the bottom of that list, but it's still probably pretty tough. So, but I mean, overall, what I'm trying to say is I thought they got a pretty good draw. And I think with the annual opponents ended up being Alabama, Ole Miss, and then Vanderbilt was the third one, which I guess you know more than I do. I immediately thought, what are they doing? But then again, you have other teams out there like LSU who has more history with maybe a Texas A&M and M and Auburn or Florida, whatever. I think actually they got what they get Auburn, Oklahoma, and Florida.
LSU?
Anyway, LSU. Yeah, they got
No, they got none of
no. Who they
those.
get? They got
You went
none
0
of
for
them.
3,
They
man.
even hold on. They took away the LSU Florida game. Like,
Yeah.
dang, I didn't even look into it, but
Florida got
I don't know.
Kentucky, South Carolina, and Georgia. Yeah, Florida got a pretty favorable draw. I think they got South Carolina, but yeah, no. LSU got Ole Miss because that's a big rivalry for them. Kind of like
Oklahoma,
they did not get Oklahoma. Oklahoma got Ole
no.
Miss.
Oklahoma got Ole Miss. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah, LSU had Ole Miss, Arkansas, Texas A&M.
okay. Anyway, back to like the annual opponents for Mississippi State. I It's an I guess. I mean, you keep the Egg Bowl. That's basic college football law. You don't mess with the in-state rivalries more than anything else. I like, as an Alabama fan, that the Alabama game's coming back. Vandy, I mean, isn't Vandy the most questionable choice for Mississippi State, like, what are we doing? I mean, is that, like, not your immediate reaction the other day?
No, I was happy because it was Vanderbilt.
True, but
So
I
I know
don't
what
know.
you're
I
saying.
don't know if I would like. I mean, yeah, you get an annual punching bag, but it's. I
Well, look,
mean,
you got to understand as a
you
Mississippi
had some
State fan,
options.
we want eh, we want games we can feel we have a chance in. That's the thing you got to understand.
True.
We don't look at every single
Yeah.
game and just know, well, we can win that game or should win that game. No, look, was Vandy a bit of an odd selection? Yes, because State and Vanderbilt do not have a ton of history. I think they've played like less than 30 times historically, I think. Maybe not quite that little, but State and Vanderbilt just did not play a lot. A lot of people assumed they would play Ole Miss because Ole Miss and Vanderbilt have played like almost 100 times. Like that's a series that has gone on for a very long time between those two teams. So it was a bit odd, but this is something I talked about. I when I broke down the opponents that State ultimately did get. I did something on that a few days ago. With when it comes to Vanderbilt, like Mississippi State was basically guaranteed they were going to get paired up with someone that didn't make a ton of sense because of the fact that State only has the one game they have to play, being Ole Miss. When you look at a lot of these teams, most teams in the conference have at least two rivalries that are like a big time deal of like, oh, we want those two games. Not everybody got every single biggest one. I mean, LSU, I would say the biggest game on their schedule is Alabama. Like that is the game that LSU probably most wanted. But the problem was, taking away Alabama Auburn or Alabama, which Alabama Auburn would never have gone away. Alabama Tennessee was sort of the debate. Well, actually, no. The debate was whether or not you would give Alabama 3 games against top tier teams or cut the rivalry. That was sort of the question there.
Yeah.
But most of the teams were able to get at least 2 of their main rivals on the slate. Mississippi State does not have 2 rivalries that matter. Even with all the history against Alabama, they don't have a game like that. It's funny you mentioned LSU. State's actually LSU's most played opponent. So also, I think I mentioned on the show the other day, I said Mississippi State was Auburn's most played opponent. I messed that up. They're second most. No duh. Deep South's oldest rivalry, Auburn, Georgia. Yeah, that was an error on me. Of course, Georgia is their most played. It's that Mississippi State was number 2 for them, I think. Maybe number 2 or number 3. I don't know. I might have messed that one up as well. I think it's State's number 2. I think I double checked that they're number 2.
Is it over 100 times basically for
no,
Auburn,
but
Mississippi State?
I look.
I'm gonna tell you what. I know
number 2.
for a fact. I know for a fact this year is going to be the 90th time between Auburn and Alabama because they had it would be more than that, but there were player fights.
Oh, State and Auburn have played 97 times.
Yeah, so it's got to be their second biggest second longest outside of
this year's
Auburn, Georgia.
Yeah, I'm right. It's the second for Auburn. So I misspoke the other night when I said State was the most for Auburn. I completely blanked on literally the rivalry's name is Deep South's oldest rivalry. I just blanked on that. But Auburn was second most, which I kind of thought there was a chance they'd give State Auburn because of that. We knew State was going to get, or we knew Auburn was going to get Georgia and Bama, and it was like, who was their third going to be? And State actually would have made some sense. And I wouldn't have hated that, to be honest. That's been a fun series over the years. What I'm getting at,
I will say though, you can go ahead and finish. I had a point to make on just to kind of remind people, like, this is the permanent opponents, not for the rest of time. This is until what, 2029, 2028? I mean, it's only for the next 5
which is why
years.
technically they're not calling it permanent. They're calling it the annual opponents.
Annual.
When I was writing the article on it, I had permanent in like multiple places, and then I was like, oh crap, they're not calling it that. Let me change that. So this could be adjusted within a few years. The point I'm getting at, though, is while State has a lot of history with a lot of these teams, none of those other teams care deeply about it. Like, I know, like you and Jackson were talking about, like in the Mississippi State game, like in the history, and I'm not sitting here telling you saying that y'all don't actually believe that. But let's be honest, like your biggest rivals, like Mississippi State's down the list. Like it's just they are, which is fine. The point I'm getting at here is that Mississippi State does not have one of those other, after the Egg Bowl, you don't have another game where it's like that has got to be played. The teams that did not have those games were probably going to get lumped together. The reason Ole Miss ends up with Oklahoma is because Oklahoma does not have a lot of teams in the SEC that they've got to play. And Ole Miss probably – I'm surprised they didn't do Ole Miss Vanderbilt. I'm also surprised they didn't do – they could have done Ole Miss Arkansas, which is a little bit of a rivalry too. But after Ole Miss got State, Ole Miss got LSU. Those are the two games Ole Miss has to have every single year. They got to play State. They got to play LSU. They were going to get somebody else, and that's why they ended up with Oklahoma. For Mississippi State, you get Vanderbilt. I imagine part of that – I'm sure part of this is the SEC pairing teams together based on what they think from a result standpoint, if we're just being completely honest.
Yeah.
That could be part of it as well, that looking at where the programs are currently at, thinking, let's put these two against each other, maybe give them a chance at a win. I'll just be blunt for a second. That's probably part of the logic there. So it was a bit of an odd selection. I was surprised because I did not see that coming at all, but I understood why it happened.
Yeah, what was I going to ask about Oklahoma? Something, I know they get Texas.
Missouri, Ole Miss.
They didn't. Texas, they did get Missouri?
Yes, which that one needed to be played. I know Oklahoma fans don't care about
I
it.
agree. I had overlooked that because don't forget, Missouri comes from the Big 12, and before they split to the SEC, that game was played every single year. I don't know who leads the series, but I'm sure
Oklahoma.
it's got it's got a lot of history in it.
Yeah, no, it's the battle for the Sooner Peace Pipe, I believe.
Sooner Peace Pipe.
Yeah, I'm not joking. It's
okay.
The Tiger Sooner Peace Pipe. Oklahoma leads the series 67-25 to 5. They have played 97 times. Because that goes beyond the Big 12. That was a Big 8 rivalry. For many, many years. I know Oklahoma fans don't really care about it, but for Missouri, that one made a lot of sense to put those two teams together. I was surprised they did Texas A&M Missouri. I understand they joined the conference together and were both part of the Big 12. A&M and Missouri do not care about each other one bit, and they also barely played when they were in the Big 12 because they were in opposite divisions. So like Mizzou was Big 12 North, A&M was Big 12 South, so they didn't even play each other all that much anyway. So that one's weird. I thought State A&M was a possibility. In fact, I think it was kind of leaked that State A&M was a game that was originally going to happen. Had this been done a few years ago, everybody I think Ross Dellinger sort of put out hey, these are the games that we're projecting, a.k.a. these are the games that we've been told are going to be the selections. Because if Ross Dellinger's one of those guys, if he's putting it out there, he knows what he's talking about. And he's going to put it out there for a reason. And A&M State was going to be one of the matchups. I think Jimbo Fisher came out and talked about it. And he was like, that don't make no sense for us. But, in my best Jimbo Fisher voice. So I thought State A&M was a real possibility. Overall, look, I'm cool with what State got. I think this, both in terms of their schedule, their annual opponents, I think it all works out fine. We have gone nearly an hour. It is a call-in show. If anybody wants to join in, you have the link. I'm already starting to lose it here. So let's do our breakdown and let's make our picks. Mississippi State versus Tennessee, keys to the game. I've got three big things for Mississippi State because, if you want a deeper preview, we talked more about the Vols back on Monday. I did a breakdown with Tucker on the channel a couple days ago on Tuesday. That whole live stream is up. A great look at the Tennessee Volunteers. I also, just to promote a little bit of another show for me and some other stuff that I was doing. Last night, I did a Twitter space with the Space Vols, Jason Williams. You can go check that. Replay is on my channel, but it is also available on Apple and Spotify. So if you want to listen to Space Vols, I'm on there talking about the game and talking about Mississippi State. So there's a lot of places to hear previews of Mississippi State and Tennessee. What I have not done is talk about keys to the game. So I do have my keys to, not just the game, keys to victory for Mississippi State. My number one is that Mississippi State has got to win the explosive play battle. Mississippi State has been a big play offense this year. They're one of the top teams in the SEC in terms of hitting those 40-plus yard plays. That is a huge part of what they want to do offensively. They want to hit the explosives. Jeff Levy says score from far. That is the mentality of this team. They want to hit the big shots down the field. They are also reliant on hitting big shots. State to this point has not shown the ability to be consistent on offense in terms of sustaining drives. When they put points on the board, they're doing it because they've hit big plays for the most part. So if you're Mississippi State, one, just from your own functionality, you need to be able to hit the big plays. But two, from the other side of it, you have to limit those plays from Tennessee. Tennessee, as potent as they are offensively, if you let them score easily, you are not going to be able to keep up. If you allow Tennessee to hit those big touchdowns like they did against Georgia, hitting the 3 big touchdowns to Chris Brazzell, which ultimately was why they were in that game. For as good as Tennessee played in that game, as for much as their offense did, like they had a few big plays downfield chunks that they hit that like made a big difference and kept them in it. You can't let them have those in this game. You've got to limit the big play. If that means you force them to nickel and dime their way down the field and have to run longer drives, I'm okay with that. If that means you give up some rushing yards in the process, I am okay with that. I don't care if I look up a Tennessee has run for 200 yards. What was the yards per carry? And how many big plays did they hit? If you're State, you have got to force them to go on long drives. You can't let Tennessee be a quick strike offense because if you do, they will make you pay. So if you're State, you've got to win the explosive play battles. Hit explosive plays on your end, limit explosive plays from the Volunteers. That's key number one.
I agree. I think Tennessee is a very explosive offense. They've hit on it early this season. And look, you saw that even though they have lost to Georgia, you saw it even in that game. They were just able to sling the ball around and score pretty much at will. Chris Brazzell, their lead receiver in yardage, touchdowns, what he averages, 17. He averages 17 yards. I mean, they got 4 guys that average a catch, 10 or more. Right, they got their 3 wide receivers: Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, Brazzell, and then tight end Miles Kitselman. This is not a offense that is pedestrian. Ask Georgia. I'm gonna keep referring back to that game because I think it was huge. Because I do think Georgia has a good defense, and they were able to put a stop to it. I think the secondary's just got to play consistently. Consistency is a big thing for me. It's not just something where, oh, just play great. I think you just got to be consistent with it. Like if you're going to get off the field on third down on defense, try to do that every drive. If not, like if you miss one drive, cool. But if Tennessee scores, you got to score with them offensively. You also have to adapt to the game on defense. And I think Mississippi State so far this year has actually done pretty well with that. Something about the secondary that I kind of see here is we have about 5 picks. What's interesting, Andrew, is it's not just one guy. We have 5 interceptions with 5 different guys in the secondary. I think you got to be pretty confident about that. Like if one guy is going out there and he's not doing his job well, and you need someone to step up big, I think you can trust that they could go and defend the pass plays and step up in those big moments. So I think the secondary is going to be a big thing to watch. Just get off the field on third down, force turnovers, keep Tennessee on the bench.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a big part of it. You need your secondary to help limit those explosive plays. Going with the defense as well, and my second key to the game, State's got to confuse Joey Aguilar.
Mm-hmm.
What Aguilar has done really well is that he is incredibly decisive. He gets the ball out quickly and on time to the right player. Tennessee has only given up 2 sacks on the season, and I think only one of those is like a true sack. And I think really both of them are kind of I think one of them was also a botched snap. So they basically have not given up a true sack where it was a quarterback getting pressured this season. Some of that is the offensive line, but a lot of it is that Joey Aguilar has not given them chances to get to the quarterback. He has done a great job of getting the football out quickly. He knows where he needs to go. Some of that is making a decision pre-snap, But some of that is also being able to quickly diagnose and understand, hey, here's where I need to go with the football. When you have a quarterback that's making decisions that quickly, I'm not going to sit here and tell you try to speed him up because he's already sped up. If you blitz him just normally, he's going to make you pay. I want State to create confusion and take away those easy throws. Drop 8 a lot. Change your presentation a lot. Show one look and shift into another. Change where pressure is coming from. Show that you're going to blitz and then drop out of it. Show that you're going to blitz, and the two guys who show they're going to blitz, they drop out, but somebody who didn't show they were blitzing come after you. Maybe you show, like, you give a conservative look, and then you rush 8. Go something crazy like that. I think if you're State, you have to try and create as much confusion as possible against Joey Aguilar. Do not let him go to his first read right away. Take those looks away, and you're going to do that by creating as much confusion as possible. You have to change your presentation pre and post snap. You also, again, dropping 8, I think is the smarter thing to do here. Instead of saying, well, we got to find a way to get pressure on this kid. There's times, yes, I would love for you to mix in some pressures and blitz with the idea of creating confusion. But if you're going to do that, it needs to be, we are changing the presentation so he thinks, oh, pressure's coming, I need to go here with the ball. Well, all of a sudden, pressure's coming from the other side of the field, and where I wanted to go has been taken away, and oh, crap, now I'm sacked. That's what you have to do to him. If you just say, we're just going to line up and rush normally, or you show a pressure and that's the pressure that you bring, he will pick you apart. So you have got to do things to confuse him, because if you let him just go to his first read, and Aguilar has done a good job of working through things. I'm not saying you can't progress past that. But if you make him sit in the pocket, like, that's going to be where you give him problems. And if you don't let him get the ball out quickly is what I'm getting at. So you have to create as much confusion as possible against Aguilar. I think that's State's defense's best chance here.
No doubt. I want to go to the offensive side of the ball here. Another key to the game for me. And there's, look, I think Tennessee's defense has looked solid this year. I look at what they have. They have forced quite a bit of fumbles. They forced 8, no, 6 so far, and they've recovered 3 of them. So they've recovered about half of those. Keep the football in your hands if you're Mississippi State. I think you got to limit their defensive line a little bit. I say don't be afraid to hand the ball off. Give it to Fluff, give it to Devon Booth. Fluff's already over 200 yards this season. You also have had really good success with a big runner in Xavier Guyton. Gayton. I look at these numbers. I mean, it looks really good. I say you just got to get explosive early on offense if you're Mississippi State, because you know that, yes, your defense we just talked about is going to have to figure out how they're going to match up against an explosive offense with Joey Aguilar, but you got to be explosive yourself. Blake Shapen's got to take some chances in this game, throw the ball downfield, find guys like Anthony Evans, Jordan Mosley, Thompson, all these guys. You got 2 key receivers, especially that I just named. Brennan Thompson has 17 receptions, over almost 300 yards. He's at 291. And then Anthony Evans, a stud, at least so far this year, what we've seen, 21 receptions and 290. Don't tell me they don't have playmakers. Take advantage of it and limit the secondary for the Vols.
Also with State, from an offensive standpoint, my final key here is, I think if you're State, you have to have your first 4-quarter offensive performance of the season.
Yeah.
State offensively has not played a complete game this year outside of Alcorn State, and I really don't count that. First half against Southern Miss, you hit the big play on the first drive, then you kept shooting yourself in the foot with a bunch of dumb mistakes and dumb penalties, and you weren't able to put points on the board in the first half. Pull away in the second half. Against Arizona State, come out on fire. Although really you hit some big plays, but you still moved the ball better in the first half. Second half, State couldn't move the ball until they finally had to at the end. You hit the big play to win the game, but the second half offensively was rough. Northern Illinois, the first half, you go down the field and score, and they actually put together a couple touchdown drives. but you had some
Yeah.
tough possessions on offense in the first half. Second half, you come out much more locked in and you keep scoring as you hold on to the football. State cannot afford to go long stretches of offensive ineptitude against Tennessee. It's got to be a consistent four-quarter effort because this is a Tennessee offense that's going to put points on the board. For as good as State's defense has been, and a testament to State is that despite their offense not being consistently able to score points, their defense has played well enough to keep them in all those games, if not do enough to keep them ahead in those games. It's not going to happen against Tennessee. It's not that I don't trust the defense. It's that I can just look at the matchup and tell you that's a better team. There's too much firepower. If you are going several possessions in a row without putting points on the board, you are going to get run out of the building. State offensively has got to have their most complete game of the year. If you don't, you're not going to be able to keep up.
Right. I fully agree. I think, this is just that team. I mean, this is not the Tennessee that struggled in the 2010s. I mean, they're struggling a little bit this year and the past couple years, sure. But this is Josh Heupel. This isn't Jeremy Pruitt. This is not Lyle Butch Jones. Um, this isn't them. This is Josh Heupel, and he knows how to coach. And I think you saw that on a couple weeks ago against Georgia. You saw it with their game against UAB. So, I mean, they're going to give you everything they got.
All right. So those are our keys to the game for Mississippi State versus Tennessee. We will make our official predictions for that game at the end here because now it is time for our picks for the week. And we're going to try to go through these a little bit more quickly than we normally do because, hey, it's already been a long show. I got a lot of stuff I got to get ready. I got to get ready to get up to Starkville, so I got to get my stuff together to make that trip and get a few things written. So we'll make our weekly picks and quick recap of where we're at. A week ago, not a great week for either of us, particularly rough for me. I go 5-5. Christian goes 6-4. Christian was correct about Texas Tech, Utah. I took the Utes, so I took the loss there. We both were wrong about Nebraska. Both were wrong about Illinois. Both were wrong about Baylor. Christian went with Memphis. I went with Arkansas, and the Hogs blow an 18-point lead and then lose in just absolutely brutal fashion there at the end. So he gets one up on me there. I got one back on him between Oklahoma and Auburn. I took the Sooners. He took the Tigers, which is a controversial game, but in this case, I'm not going to complain. I'll take my win. Both of us had Ole Miss. Both of us had Mizzou. Both had Miami. Both took Mississippi State. So 5-5 week for me brings me to 24-16 overall on the year. 6-4 week takes Christian to 27-13. So still a 3-game lead for Christian. So we go into week 5 of the season. Let's make some picks. And man, it is an outstanding slate of games. On paper, the best weekend of football that we've had in a long time. That is the only part of me going to State Tennessee that's a little bit tough is I'm not going to get to watch a lot of these games. But to get back in Starkville, not going to complain whatsoever, especially because I get to be a part of one of these big games. But it starts off early. Number 22, Notre Dame at Arkansas. Already here in the Bobby Petrino is trying to weasel his way into being the interim once Pittman is inevitably fired. Does he get fired after this one? I don't know. Christian, who do you take?
Well, it's interesting. You have a 1-2 Notre Dame, almost out of the rankings there. You have what looked like a solid team in Arkansas the first couple weeks, although they didn't really play much competition with Arkansas State and Alabama A&M. Kept it close, but lost both games to Memphis and Ole Miss. This actually is a tough one. No one's coming off a bye. Notre Dame already had one the weekend of the 6th, Labor Day weekend, whatever, or the weekend after. But this game's at Arkansas, but I want to go Notre Dame here. I'm gonna go with Notre Dame, and I feel like their defense gets it done. I feel like it's a better offense for Arkansas, but I feel like they haven't faced what they're going to face against the Irish.
Notre Dame's defense has not been very good this year. And I think Arkansas offense will be able to take advantage of that. I am so tempted to take the Hogs here just because it feels like this is an obvious spot to take the Irish and that Arkansas could pull an upset because I really don't think this Notre Dame team is all that impressive. However, Notre Dame's offense does have some firepower. Arkansas's defense is terrible. I also just refuse to trust Arkansas after what they've done the last 2 weeks. And I didn't pick them against Ole Miss, but they choked that game away. They choke away the game against Memphis. I'm not going to trust you to win a game, even if I see this as a spot where it could happen. I'll take Notre Dame. I'm not going to lose another game in the standings by trusting a Sam Pittman team. Number 4, LSU goes to number 13, Ole Miss in the Magnolia Bowl. Fun rivalry where there's always seems to be a bunch of craziness point to put on the board. Christian, who do you take?
LSU's looked pretty dangerous. Ole Miss has looked pretty good at times. I think their defense has improved this year, but escaping close SEC wins, which is kind of the red flag for me. I mean, I get it. It's going to happen for Ole Miss. You kind of expect it with the 6-point wins with Arkansas and 7-point win with Kentucky. LSU, as much as I really like the run they're having, they've played 2 cupcakes. They've played Florida, and they beat Clemson. I don't know what to take away from them other than they have looked good, but I think that they take some losses here. I'm going the upset, and I'm taking the home team and the Ole Miss Rebels. I will not say what they say because this is a Mississippi State show, but just know that I have it on record. I am taking Ole Miss.
LSU's defense has been really good this year, and Trinidad
True.
Chambliss has been impressive for Ole Miss in the 2 games he started, and he's going to start this game as well. The kid can definitely play, but I think this is going to be a much tougher test to deal with, especially with what LSU has in the secondary and some of the pieces they're going to be able to have up front to get after him. I think they're able to slow him down and limit what Ole Miss is able to do offensively. I don't agree about the Ole Miss defense. I think they've been very poor. It's a big drop-off from where they were a season ago. And LSU offensively, while they have struggled, I'm a believer in Garrett Nussmeier. I'm a believer in the receivers they have. And I think the best cure for a struggling offense is a bad defense. It really doesn't happen the other way around, but it does tend to happen in favor of the offense when you face a bad defense. So I will take LSU to be able to have a good offensive day. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I think it'll be a competitive game, but they're able to make enough plays to get the win. Auburn at number 9, Texas A&M. The Tigers coming off a loss that they're still complaining about. John Cohen and Auburn just putting out a statement about the officiating in out in Soonerland and Norman. A&M, explosive offense. Defense has not been great to this point thus far. Feels like could be a lot of points in Aggieland. Who do you take?
I think Auburn, an improved team, obviously coming off a tough loss to Oklahoma. You would think it's bounce back week, but it's only interesting because of this. Both teams were on the road. A&M coming off a big win, even though it was only by 1 point over Notre Dame. Do they let it get to their heads? That's a concern. However, Auburn coming off a close loss at the same time probably has a little bit of the momentum, but I've never really trusted, no matter who the coach is, I've never really trusted Auburn as a really good road team, at least in a while. I'm going to go with the Aggies. Please don't take it as Auburn hate here. I think it's going to be a great game, going to be fun to watch. I don't expect Auburn to be world beaters, but I could still see a way they get 6 or 7 wins on the year. They got Georgia coming up in a couple weeks, but they got to get through this one first. I could be wrong, but I'm rolling with the Aggies. Gig 'em.
I don't feel strongly either way in this game.
No.
I think Auburn between the two has a better defense, but playing against an A&M offense that has the weapons that it does. Also, Auburn defensively, despite being pretty good, did give up a ton in the passing game to Baylor back in week 1. And this A&M passing attack, because of the receivers they have, not as much Marcel Reed, but the receivers they have, incredibly dangerous. So I think A&M will find ways to be able to score points, and it's whether or not that Jackson Arnold can make enough plays in this game on the road. Simply put, I don't really – both these quarterbacks are not guys I love, so it comes down to the coaches. I'm not trusting Hugh Freeze. I trust Mike Elko a lot more. I will take Texas A&M. Game of the day in the SEC, number 17, Alabama goes on the road to number 5, Georgia. Huge game Saturday night. Could be a really fun matchup. Could see another classic like we did a year ago. Christian, do your Tide get the win?
I did my prediction video on Monday, or was it? Yeah, it was like Monday. And I had picked Georgia in a close game, something around like 31-27, or maybe I had like 27-21. I don't remember. But in that video I had picked Georgia. The last couple of days though, I've heard some good news about Crimson Tide. They're looking forward to getting guys back fully healthy, having guys just step up big. And I think they've looked really, really good since that loss to Florida State. However, on the road at night, hostile environment against a tough Georgia defense. I think this will be one of the more low scoring games of the weekend, number one, but also probably with what we've seen between the two. I'm going to regret picking against the Tide, especially if they find a way to win. So, for the sake of it, roll Tide, man. Let's get it done and get the W. I'm gonna say Alabama gets a small upset on the road, but it could live up to expectation like it did last year. Let's see.
I've not buried Bama. I like what I've seen from Ty Simpson lately,
Mhm.
and I do think there's a good point to be had that when Bama's defense has problems, it's been against offenses that have quarterbacks that are constantly making plays with their legs, a lot of misdirection, a lot of motion. And while Gunnar Stockton is a guy that can run, that he is not Tommy Castellanos, he's not Diego Pavia, or Jackson Arnold. So it's a little bit of a different situation when you look at that. So I mean, I think Bama's defense might actually be able to perform decently well, but it's also Alabama's offense. How do they go and perform on the road? And I think this is a tight game. I'm going to trust Georgia at home a little bit more, but I will not be surprised
Mhm.
if Bama gets the win. I'm not burying them yet, but I'll take Georgia right now, just slightly ever so more trustworthy to me in this point. Sticking to the
Yeah.
SEC, a game no one cares about. Let's not spend a bunch of time breaking this down. Kentucky, South Carolina, Gamecocks get back on track.
Yeah, Kentucky might have some momentum being 2-1, but I don't know. South Carolina's got to bounce back. Two tough losses, one on the road to Mizzou, one at home to Vandy. Vandy looks pretty good with Diego Pavia. I think the Gamecocks are furious. They got some fire on them, and I don't think Kentucky's going to have that good a year. They're off to a great start. However, I don't expect it to last much longer. Give me South Carolina.
I'll take the Gamecocks too. I don't like this South Carolina team, but I like them better than I like Kentucky.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take them to get the win. Looking around the nation, got a lot of really good games across the board nationwide. Biggest game of the day from a ranking standpoint: number 6 Oregon at number 3 Penn State. Whiteout in Happy Valley Saturday night. The Ducks have not played anybody yet, but have looked outstanding. Penn State has also not played anybody yet, and it's kind of looked a little bit iffy, but it is Oregon going across the country, going into an environment they haven't faced yet this year. Who gets the win?
I'm gonna go with Penn State. I actually got to talk yesterday on the channel with Zach Sako of Locked On Nittany Lions. Great interview over there at Ballard Sports Media. Come check us out. Go check out his podcast. He gave us a lot of good insight. He feels very confident, so I'm gonna go with him. And shout out to my grandparents, Nana and Pop Pop. And we are Penn State. Let's go. And yeah, I think it'd be a good one. But outside of all that, it'll be a tough game, a little low scoring or so. Well, not low scoring. I think it's mid. I think there's good defense, but there's good offense too. I don't expect it to be what was it last year, 41-37 in the Big Ten title. I don't expect that. I go I'll go Penn State about 34-30, 34-31, something like that. But I think the whiteout crowd is going to help them out.
I think Oregon's looked better, and James Franklin doesn't beat good teams.
True.
So I'm taking Oregon. It's just,
Okay.
I mean, the whiteout factor is real, but I don't know how much that's going to really save them. I think Oregon's just a much better team all around, so I'm going to take the Ducks.
Mhm.
Big 12 clash Friday night. This is a game that Mississippi State fans may have a little bit of interest in. Number 24 TCU at Arizona State. I did all that ranting about TCU and their ranking and not necessarily being deserving. Arizona State, if you're a State fan, you want them getting the win. You want that win looking as strong as possible. Who do you got, Christian?
It's almost a coin flip game, even for the matchup predictor, about a 50-50 there. Hoover's looked better than Levitt stat-wise. But I like since the loss to us, Arizona State's looked pretty good. They're 1-0 in the Big 12 with the win over Baylor. They've blew out Texas State. Um, this would be an interesting matchup. It's really tough. It's almost a coin flip. When in doubt, take the home team. Give me the Sun Devils.
I don't really. I don't know. I initially put TCU. Part of me wants to put Air.
Yeah. It's so tough, right? Like, I mean, it's the Big 12 we're talking about. And I remember talking with a lot of people this offseason saying it was up for grabs for half the teams. And these are two of them, man. Like, it's both teams look okay. I'll say okay. They're not great. They're not terrible. They're just, they're good, you know?
I'll take Arizona
It's,
State.
it's hard.
They're more tested to this point. I'm not really impressed by what TCU has necessarily done so far. I don't think Arizona State's been incredible by any means. I'm not even talking about the game against Mississippi State. The same applies against Baylor. Like that was a kind of a close win where things went in their favor. But I'll take Arizona State. It's tough to go on the road in the Big 12 and win. Where you have a lot of evenly matched teams Friday night. So yeah, I'll go Arizona State. Number 21 USC and number 23 Illinois. The Illini just got beat the crap beat out of them against Indiana. USC high scoring win over Michigan State. Could be a lot of points in this game if Illinois' offense can wake up. But long trip for USC. I think it's an earlier kickoff as well, so the body blow theory could be tough. Who are you taking?
I'm gonna go Illinois to bounce back here. Tough loss to Indiana last week. Obviously, the Hoosiers look like a really good team. Getting to this USC game, they look good so far. I like this Maiyava. How do you say it? Jaden Maiyava.
That's
Over
right.
1,000 yards. Yeah, over 1,000 yards. The running back Wayman Jordan has 443 off 57 carries. A lot of good numbers offensively. Still don't trust their defense, although I think it's looked improved a little bit this year. At times, I can't buy too much into Lincoln Riley. I know he's done great things at Oklahoma, making the playoffs, Heisman winners, offensive genius. I can't continue to pick him like to keep winning and winning and winning. And I don't know. Illinois looks like a dangerous team this year. So give me the fight in Illini.
I go to what Tom Fernelli has to say about Illinois because that's the resident expert on the Illini. Tom Fernelli, CBS Sports, Cover 3 Pod. And he thinks after what he saw from Indiana, he does not see Illinois secondary, which is banged up, having any chance at slowing down the USC passing game. So yeah, I'm gonna take USC to get a big win on the road. Ohio State at Washington, the number 1 ranked Buckeyes. Are they number 1? Really? I didn't even realize that.
I guess.
Going on the road to Washington. Huskies could be a sneaky good game, sneaky tough environment. Ohio State, not necessarily. I was about to say they're not tested. They play Texas. I'm just forgetting things already. It's late. let's get this done with. I'm getting tired here.
All right, who do we take?
Got? Huskies or Ohio State?
Give me the Buckeyes big. Well, I don't know if I say big. Maybe. I don't know about a score, but 7.5 points. I think they cover that. They'll go on the road. They'll take care of business. Buckeyes.
Yeah, I'm just going to take Ohio State. I don't really have any thoughts. Buckeyes.
Yeah.
Finally, Mississippi State versus Tennessee prediction time. Huge opportunity for the Bulldogs. This is a game that if you get a win, you were talking about yourself up for a huge season, not just a year where you go to a bowl, a season that you could really get a ton of momentum, a ton of national excitement and buzz around. And I'm not even talking about from a playoff standpoint. I just mean it could be a real breakthrough year for the Bulldogs if you can pull off a win against the Vols. It's going to be very difficult. Early in the show, we did our keys to the game. You can go check that out if you missed it. Who do you got?
I am not too big a believer in Tennessee all that much. I wasn't going into the season. I don't think they're the team that gets to the playoffs like they did last year. I think they're a team that maybe gets better throughout the season but has a really difficult path. That being said, I'm going to go with the Bulldogs winning 35-17, taking care of business. And I'm not buying Tennessee, man. I think we can handle this. We got this.
I will be stunned. I will not be stunned if Mississippi State wins the game. I'll be stunned if that's the final score. Ultimately, for me, what this comes down to is, look, I think State, from a skill talent standpoint, has an opportunity here. I think State's receivers can make plays against the Tennessee secondary. I think Fluff Bothwell can find some success on the ground against Tennessee, a defensive line that they're getting some players back. Jackson Moy back, which is a big deal for them, but banged up along the defensive interior a little bit. I think State's secondary, I think Kelly Jones and Diego Brumfield can hold up some and not give up a ton of huge plays down the field. I think Tennessee, though, has the edge in the trenches. I think Tennessee's pass rush is going to be able to get after Blake Shapen and give him some problems and to get State in some long yardage situations, kill some drives, because State's not built to be successful in long yardage, and I think Tennessee can get them into those spots. And on the other side of the ball, I don't think State's going to be able to – it's so funny because in my keys to the game, I talk about, State. I don't really care if Tennessee runs for a lot of yards as long as you're not giving up explosive plays. I worry they might give up explosive runs. I think I understand what State's going to do from a run defense standpoint, and it's going to make total sense. But I think their running backs can make some plays, and State's not going to be prepared to handle it the way they want to. I think they're going to get pushed around a little bit more than you ultimately would like to see. So, I will take Tennessee to get the win. I think that's the difference. I think it's going to be close. Should be a fun atmosphere, but I've got the Vols winning 34-27 is the score that I finalized on. I think I've given out a few different score predictions to this point of the week, just because I've had a lot of different thoughts about the way this game is going to go. But I think it's going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to being back inside Davis Wade Stadium, getting back into Starkville. Should be a fun weekend, an incredible atmosphere, and hopefully State can prove me wrong and find a way to get a win. That would be huge for the program going forward. That'll do it for us tonight. We will not be back with a reaction show Saturday. So Christian's schedule is not going to allow him to be able to set one up himself. And then, as I've mentioned, I'm going to be in Starkville. And while there are ways to record remote, I'm not going to be like in a press box. I don't really have a good setup to work with. I'm going to be in the stands. So it's going to be a little bit easier to just let things settle down. And I would also like to be able to have some – I know it's not instant reaction, but I'd like to be able to sort of have my thoughts fully in order when it comes to look at the game, because that is the one thing when you're watching at a game, it's not always easy to really get the best look at things and how things play out over the course of it. So to make the recap as good as possible, we will do one on Sunday. Some point once I get back is when we'll be able to break this game down. So that's the next time you'll see us. Recap the game Sunday, and then Monday – we'll be back to our normal schedule of things. But, we will see you Sunday. Thanks to everybody for listening. And if you have not already, give us a like on that video, subscribe to the channel, turn that notification bell on, and share our channel, share the stream, share the episodes. We would greatly appreciate it. Trying to hit that 100 subscriber mark. We're getting so close, and we're hoping you guys can help push us over the top. That'll do it. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks, Christian, hopping on. As always, swing your sword. Hail State.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.